but it's a journey. It's a hard journey. I can't lie about that one.
This is your episode.
It's like, why are you talking about private matters, about mental health? You're sick.
Yeah, you don't have any problems.
Yeah, you have no problems.
No, it's because the uncle that we haven't talked to in 40 years, he's gonna say something.
No, honestly, before we started recording this, I was like, damn, I've never cried in an episode. What if this is the one? So in this episode, we have something very juicy for you, okay, for the new season. We are talking about the parentification of kids, specifically children of immigrants. And we just wanted to give you guys our own personal experiences on being parentified growing up. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's kind of like a form of abuse, whether it is like minor or extreme. We talk about both realms and how you guys are like adultified when you are kids, whether that is being the eldest daughter and having the responsibility of being like the emotional support for your parents or family members. And we're also going to be talking about our own like experiences and like after effects of that, being an adult now. And I feel like I opened up a lot. Mashoon opened up a lot about this topic. And this is something that I hope brings you some sort of like therapy, some sort of healing. Just because, again, I wish I had listened to something like this growing up, or had found something like this growing up, because it would just make me feel like a lot less alone, So if you are interested in something like this, make sure to keep on watching or listening.
Welcome back to our podcast. Podcast is called Difficult-ish, and it's a podcast about South Asian narratives.
South with no H.
And it's hosted by myself, as you see here, Nitro Cold Brew Mansham Munir.
And we got Mahua Khan over here as well.
No nickname today?
No, we don't need a nickname. That's only like a you thing.
Before we get any further, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe, follow the page, and review, then rate the episode of the podcast.
If you leave a review, it helps us so much.
A lot.
Get amazing guests and just like do this podcast, because it pushes it out to like more incredible people like you. And it's like, why would we not want all these conversations to reach more people that might be in a position like you?
¿Por qué no?
Right?
Okay.
So how's it going?
Yeah, it's going. Good
we're
to see
December. Oh my God, I just realized. We're literally in December.
It's not.
Wow, we just started the year and now we're in December already.
You have a good beginning to your holiday season? Anything, interesting happen?
Yeah.
Pots or anything?
Hosted a little Friendsgiving, a little mini Friendsgiving, very impromptu as well. Ooh. It was on like a random Tuesday, so I didn't think anyone would be free or come. And then everyone said that they would come and more. Like they were like, oh, like, can we bring this person? And we're like, oh, okay. So it's going to be like a full jam-packed party. So yeah, that happened. And so I was like, oh, let me make pie for the first time, right? I'm not a very big cook. I'm not like huge on being creative with meals, because I have enough of that in my life with, working and being creative in that sense. But anyway, I was like, oh, I'm hosting. I might as well try to make something, because what's a host with no food there, right? So I was like, okay, let me make chicken pot pie. And I flawlessly, you can attest to this, right?
It was good.
I flawlessly followed the entire recipe, did everything amazingly. And like, I was very proud of myself, right? Because I was like, yes, like I conquered something that I thought was going to be hard. And I made chicken pot pie for the first time ever for all these guests. And then tell me how, we had to take it out of the oven, right? Because there was a little mess in there. He decided to put also his cornbread in there. Cornbread was good too. Okay. He made cornbread for the first time.
Great.
It was leaking because he overflowed it. So we had to clean up the oven. So then, okay, I was like, all right, we've done the cleaning. Let's put the food back into the oven now to finish the baking of the pie.
That's how you do it.
Tell me how the pie's bowl literally breaks in half.
No.
He's gasping like he wasn't the one that did it.
Broken my hands.
Yeah, I broke his hands.
I didn't do it, okay? She was upset me because she thought I broke the plate. I didn't break nothing. It snapped. It caved in my hand.
It concaved.
I felt it.
Yeah, not only did the bowl snap in half. By the way, it's an oven-safe bowl. It's not like we put like a glass bowl in there without knowing. And the pie also cracked in half. So at that point, I'm like, okay, do I cancel Thanksgiving and just like not have this party anymore? Because I was literally just holding onto the counters, gripping onto it, tight hands, like heaving. And I was like, get out of my kitchen. I was so upset because I didn't know how to process this.
That's how it went.
And then, I had to take a little breather. We're like, all right, Thanksgiving can't be canceled, actually. So
can't do it.
All we had to do was just like transfer the broken pie into another bowl. Thankfully, there was like it wasn't a crazy break, okay? It was a very clean cut. through the middle, so it was pretty easy to like transport it, and the baking was pretty much done, so it wasn't like raw dough.
I have something to say.
Yeah.
You've been telling a lot of people this story.
What? Okay. You've been telling me to tell this story.
I deserve to have some more credit in this
Okay.
story. Because if I'm the one that thought of the transportation idea.
Okay.
Did you think if I'm the one that thought of the idea and you keep saying it's a wee thing, that was my idea. And I think I deserve a little bit more credit for that idea.
But also it broke in your hands.
That's one thing. We're talking about the transportation. I feel like you're taking
transportation.
I feel like you're taking credit for the transportation. The transportation.
Right.
It was my doing.
Do you want me to just say it on camera?
Yeah, I want you to say Mashu had a great idea.
Okay, it was your idea. We did it. Okay, are you happy? Are you happy? You're the one that broke the pie in the first place. Okay, like anyway. So then Thanksgiving wasn't canceled. We actually had the best time. I think honestly, might I dare say? Might I add?
Don't you dare.
Might I add? It was one of the best parties that I've ever hosted. Yeah. Because guests left at like 2:30 in the morning, and it was a work day.
They were there late.
Yeah, like I guess we just had.
And like you don't stay late at a party if you're not having a good time.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
You understand? Think about it.
Dare
Have you ever stayed somewhere late where you're having a terrible time?
Usually I'm doing the Irish exit, right? Like I'm in there for 20 minutes. I'm trying to leave without letting anyone know.
That was me on my
People were there for hours.
Yeah.
People were there for hours.
Yeah, that was me on my holiday party. I left so early.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah, good story.
Yeah.
Good story. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, well,
that's the intro.
That's the intro. I hope you guys are enjoying the new welcome back into the season.
Yeah. I hope you guys are having a good holiday season.
Yeah.
Hope you guys are spending it with your family, with your loved ones, friends,
you know
whatever.
How people are usually like, oh, let's take a break around holiday time and like reduce the work.
We ramp it back up. We're like holiday season. Let's go time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But hope y'all enjoying everything that's going on, and hope y'all enjoying us, and hope y'all are ready to enjoy another episode of Difficult Dish.
Yeah. Oh wow, that was a long intro.
Today we speak on a very important topic.
Yeah, this is gonna be a longer.
This is gonna be a very, very important topic, and this is her doing. She thought about this. You want to break this down? You want to break down like where this idea came from?
And guess what?
Yeah,
it's gonna be a 2-part series because we have something in the works for the next episode that's related to this topic.
What's in the works?
The second part of the series. But anyway,
got it.
This episode, we are going to talk about the parentification of kids, but specifically children in immigrant families, right? And I thought about this because randomly, I just had like a lot of eldest daughter content feeding me in the algorithm, right? Okay. And I am the eldest daughter, if you guys didn't know. If you guys, I know this is news to you, but if you guys didn't know, I'm the eldest daughter, okay?
Got it.
So this idea came to me because I was like, I also dealt with some forms of being parentified or adultified when I was a youngster.
Damn.
Right? And then I was like, you did too. Right?
A fact.
So then that led me to research what the actual meaning of parentification is, what really it entails. Are there symptoms that still lead into like adulthood? Like, do you ever really get rid of this feeling and this, I guess, abuse that you went through when you were little?
Heard you.
And I just went into this like little wormhole, right?
Rabbit hole.
I feel like rabbit hole. I feel like this
Rabbit
topic is very important because we have a lot of, high school, college students listening to our podcast. We also have a lot of South Asian kids and like children of immigrants that listen to our podcast. And I feel like it relates to some extent because sometimes our parents or family members put us in these situations. And usually it's not like a planned or like intentional thing. Sometimes it's just like a survival mindset and like it unintentionally happens. But that also doesn't discount the fact that many of us grow up with this like trauma or these like habits that we are trying to unlearn, and it affects us into like our adulthood and like future relationships when we're older and this and that. So like, thoughts on this episode?
2 questions.
Yeah.
1, what is parentification?
Oh.
And 2, why do South Asian youth often feel parentified?
Ooh.
What is it about our culture that makes that happen?
So maybe that second part can be like a you answer.
Okay. Got it.
So when you search up parentification on Google,
Okay.
Google sends over like an array of different
Shout out Google.
articles and
Shout out
sponsor us, Google.
Oh, God.
Definitions, articles, facts, symptoms, effects, everything, right? So this is what it says. Parentification is a form of abuse that occurs when a child is forced to take on parental responsibilities, such as providing emotional support or managing household tasks. Some examples of parentification includes taking on household responsibilities like cleaning, cooking, paying bills, and grocery shopping, or like providing emotional support to parents or siblings, right? So this doesn't mean like, oh, if your parents are telling you to clean the dishes, like that doesn't mean you're parentified, right? That just means they're trying to teach you some responsibility, right? So there's like a fine line between it being like extreme and like abusive, where you're not really a kid anymore because you're handling adult responsibilities. Whereas, you know, there's also another part of the spectrum where it's like you're just doing some basic life things that you should learn, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to talk about in this episode parentification, what it is, right? And then also some things that we had to do growing up that fall under the umbrella of parentification that might have been a little bit too mature for our age.
Okay.
Right? And then we're going to talk about some symptoms we have in our adult years of us still kind of undergoing these parentifying things, you know? So this episode isn't necessarily like a overcome parentification here. Like there's really no solution, you know? We're not experts.
Do I look like an expert?
We're just diddle dots that like went through it.
What are you an expert in?
Are we gonna have this conversation again? Because I told you that I don't like the word expert.
Okay, sorry.
You understand?
Got it.
Okay. So do you want to answer your second part?
Yeah, ask me the question.
I forgot what your question was.
My question is, why do South Asian youth specifically often feel parentified growing up? And I think there's a handful of reasons why. I think one reason that I feel like a lot of people don't say out loud is just the fact that I feel like a lot of our parents, like their own youth lives are cut so short. You know, one, because of, apart from age, apart from, you know, young women getting married off early, apart from that, so many of our parents were forced to grow up and get married and live as an adult so early, whereas they were not allowed to live their youth. And I feel like living out your youth is so important.
Yeah.
Living out your youth is so important for anybody, because you know, you feeling youthful is like something that you have to like fulfill and satisfy in order to, you know, have like a proper transition into like the next stage of your life. Because if you are either you're forced to or voluntarily you rush your childhood and like your adolescence, you will feel like the longing of it for like the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And a lot of time that longing can come out in, you know, not a very fantastical way. You know, when you are a parent, and this can lead to how, you know, your future child becoming parentified. It's like a lot of things that you were not taught as a kid, or you did not allow yourself to work through as a kid, you are now involuntarily laying onto your kids, and now it's affecting them. So I think that's a big reason why, is because so many people, our parents, whoever it is, they are just not allowed to like live out their youth and like satisfy like their youth. And
yeah, you know, if you grew up in like a low income village or something, a lot of them were taught to go to work at like what, age 8, you know, so their expectation or their idea of normal is like, okay, I did that, it's normal for my kids to also do that now. Even though as each generation progresses, we set more and more boundaries and we try to live more for ourselves, and that's like not seen, it shouldn't be seen as like a bad thing, right? But you know, at the end of the day, me and you are empaths, right? So we can,
I'd say so.
You know, we started this podcast because we talk about some of the things that our generation and we face as children of immigrants, but then we're also trying to think of what our parents might have faced or what the other older generation faced.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can't just be yapping about just our difficulties.
We can't. So where you want to start off? You want to start off like talking about what are like some like telltale signs or like, you know, your personal experience?
Yeah.
Like where are we starting?
So one experience that I have, or maybe other eldest daughters might have had, as being like a parentified kid when you're in elementary school or high school or whatever it is that you have to kind of hold the emotional baggage of the family, right? And some examples might be
down.
like you being the middleman with like your parents or your family's fighting and you having to be like the mediator or like trying to stop the fight from happening, which can cause like so much like anxiety when you're older. Or it can be like you having to be your parents, like one of your mother's or your father's therapist, and then having all of these like adult tensions and anxieties and like responsibilities on your shoulders while also trying to navigate your own, right? And I feel like, especially being the oldest daughter, and that's not even bringing up like if you have siblings or not, right? That's just like the parents. But then you also have this expectation to do everything for your siblings that maybe your parents aren't able to do because they're working more, you know, they're trying to provide for you. But then you also have this like emotional responsibility to take care of everyone. But if you try to take care of yourself in any way, you're not allowed, like you feel guilty or you're not allowed to. Yeah. You know, you don't even have the time or space to do that, you know? You know, something I was actually thinking about is that like when I was living at home, do you remember that? Like when we first like started talking, I was living at home still, and like I was going through the waves of this.
Yes.
And life was so different than where I am now.
How so?
Because like now that I have my own place and I live away from home, I have like this like distance between my oldest daughter responsibilities back then versus now where I have more space to like be me. It's just, I don't know. It's like, it's been like a couple years since I moved. Like it's been 3+ years, but it's like life is so different now.
Do you feel like the responsibilities that you had back then when you were like 22, do you feel like you still hold the same responsibilities, or have you been able to like convince yourself that some of those responsibilities were never meant to be your responsibilities and like you naturally let them like move on to somewhere else? Or do you still feel like you're in charge of the same things, but you think like the distance has just helped like alleviate the stress?
I think I'm still in charge of the same things, but I think the distance has made it less in your face, and I've been able to just step away from like the tension and like the direct problem a little bit more and like see it more as like from an outside perspective.
Okay.
And I think since I'm not directly in the house anymore, some of the responsibilities have shifted to other people or like my sibling, so they're able to like kind of make a solution instead of just directing it to me right away.
Do you want to give an example of like maybe one responsibility that you felt like you had back then that like maybe there was no reason for it to be your responsibility?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Name one. I need it.
One thing was, so like I stayed at home for school, right? Like for college, I didn't dorm. My brother did dorm. He went away, so he would only come for like holidays and stuff. So I was always kind of like the translator of the family. Like,
break that down.
For like financial aid documents, I was the oldest daughter, so I was like the test subject, right? Like I had to be the one to like fill out the income, and like if it messes up, it's my fault.
That's a good word you use.
The friggin' tax, like the what are the people that come after you? IRS people.
Yeah.
I was always so scared. I was like, damn, they're gonna come after. I'm just this 15-year-old bird. They're gonna come after me.
Yeah.
But so yeah, things like that. You know, financial aid forms or very wordy English jargon type of documents or letters. I'd have to be the one to kind of like translate it into simplified words and like Bangla and things like that for my parents. And you know, I didn't mind that, but on top of all the little responsibilities that I had, it definitely like added up. And I think now that I'm not living at home anymore, my brother is like the go-to person.
That's good.
To just like, you know, the bills or whatever letter it is, you know.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It might be a hard question.
Yeah.
What do you think is like the threshold, or like the like that like point of balance to where like there's some things that your parents just have to know how to do and some things that they just have to learn, versus things that like it's okay, like you allow them the space to like not understand it and like you take care of it, like, you know, whether it's like some very like taxes or something. You know, if like your parents live their whole life just not understanding what taxes are, but they have to understand it, you know, it's like, how do you go about telling them that like, yo, this is just something that like you gotta learn?
I think there's two terms. One of them is learned helplessness, right?
Okay.
Where it's like you are so used to other people doing things for you where you just don't want to learn it yourself because you want to just get that help instead of trying, right?
Good one.
There's also another term. I forget the word for it. So, but if you guys are watching and listening, please let us know in the comments down below. But it's essentially where like when a wife does everything for the husband, and then the wife asks the husband to do one thing, like, oh, can you just please clean the dishes? And the husband is like, oh, I don't do it properly, like, you just do it. There's a word for that where it's like also kind of like learned helplessness, but it's like you're kind of manipulating the other person into just doing something because you act like you don't know how to do it properly, but you're not learning how to. So I think it's fine if you guide them a few times on how to do something or how you want it to be done, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, sit down with your parents and show them how something should be done. It's fine if they forget, especially with older age, but like show them once in a while, like, this is how you do it. This is, maybe even write it down for them, directions, whatever. But if they continuously ask you, and this isn't even just parents, if a partner or your parents continuously ask you year after year, month after month, how to do the same thing over and over without wanting to learn, without actually like trying to like show progress in something, then that just shows that like they just expect it of you. You know, I don't know, that's like my 2 cents. How about you?
But it's also like, you know, like trying to decide how much is okay for them to lean on you for, you know, because like, of course it's fine that they're expecting a certain amount of things for us, but it's like trying to figure out what that certain number is.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the duties of a child, obviously we want to repay our parents in any way and like help in any way that we can.
Yes.
But also if there's an imbalance where it's constantly you spreading yourself thin to do all these things and going out of your way to help your parent without them understanding how much you're doing for them, and them continuously asking you of this same, like, it doesn't have to be strenuous, but the same thing, it all adds up eventually, right? So it's just like, yeah, do things for your parents and like know that you're supposed to do things for them, but like don't let them take advantage of you all the time, or whoever, you know.
Yes.
Understood.
Yeah. Understood.
What's your thought as like you were a parentified kid or what?
I'd say so. I think, you know, I was dealt a lot of responsibilities that I just didn't have to be. Yeah. But I was, and you know, that was the situation, and it is what it is. But looking back, you know, there's just like a lot of things that like whether I had to do or was expected to, that was just like, damn, like that didn't have to go that way. That didn't have to be like I think growing up, I had to give a lot of my time and energy to family. Whether it was like trying to figure out some situation or again some argument, whatever it is, a lot of my time went to that. To where, one, like I felt bad for giving like myself time, like we already said that. But apart from that, like deep in that, I felt bad for giving my time to anyone other than my family, because I felt like there were a number of issues in the house, and there was always something to work on, to where like it's like I treated like my house like school, you know. It's like there's all these tests I gotta study for, and there's always there's always a higher grade I can get. There's always da da da, and it's like I was so conditioned to like feel like giving my time to anything else other than like in this case like school or like studying or trying my best to get as high of a grade on an assignment as possible, whatever it is. Like I felt bad for giving myself anything other than just like trying to figure out what's going on in the house. Yeah. And I think that messed up like a lot of relationships, because like even to this day, like I find myself not giving enough time to people that I should be giving time to, because I'm like, yo, like this, because my mind automatically goes to like, okay, I gave this person this much time. What else could I have done with this time? I could have done this, could have done that. And it's not right, because, you know, obviously to maintain friendships, you got to give them some of your time, and, you know, your time has to just go to them. And you can't, when you're with them, you can't be thinking, like, I know I said this on a episode before where I was like, whenever I hang out with someone, I'm always thinking like, what else could I be doing with this time? What else? Like, okay, I just gave this person 2 hours. Like right when I still do this, like after I hang out with someone, I'm like with that hour and a half, like what could I have done? Like, did I really need to do that? And it's like, yeah, hang out with someone, you're not sure if you're like exchanging advice or words of encouragement, yeah, you're getting something out of it, but like for the most part, when you hang out with a friend, you're not getting anything out of it.
Well, that's like your mindset. You are always getting something out of hanging out with someone, even if it's not like a productive, like, you know.
It's true. But I think, yeah, that's just like how my mind has become, just because like growing up, I felt so wrong for giving my time to anything other than.
But like why did you feel wrong? Like what kind of responsibilities did you have where you felt bad to do that?
Yeah, I mean, there were just issues at the house. Yeah. You know, there was just whether it was like emotional issues or just even physical issues. Yeah. A pipe broke. Yeah. You know, some like the kitchen counter cracked, like need a new chair, need some garden soil, whatever it is. I was the one that had to,
like, the man of the house. I hope you guys can understand that what we went through is not necessarily normal or okay in any sense, but there are so many people like you and I that have probably dealt with some sort of something like this. I hope you didn't. And I hope it opens up like more conversations amongst like other people and friends and things like that, you know.
Some that I also like deal with now a lot too, and especially back then, was like kind of going alongside of what I said earlier, is like giving so much of myself to my family. I felt like what I gave, that was the standard. You know, like what I provided for my family in the house, I have to provide that same energy to every single person in my life, or else like I'm just not doing a good job. Yeah. So in other words, what I'm saying is I got so used to over delivering. Yeah. In friendships and any sort of relationship.
I think it's like you get so used to, and like you have this thought ingrained in you that you have to spread yourself thin for everyone else around you, and like constantly give to people around you and make everyone around you happy. Where you get, as you get older, you have this mindset that it's up to you to make everyone else around you happy. You have no sort of boundaries. And you have to constantly please people, even if it's not really making you happy. And if someone is angry or sad about a situation, you kind of take that as something that you did wrong, even if it has no relation to you. Yeah. Like sometimes, like I'll be like just upset or anxious or whatever, right? Just about work or whatever it is. Yeah. And then you'll be like, "What did I do?" Yeah. No, but it's like I also do that to you sometimes. You know, it's not even just like a you thing. Facts. But it's like, sometimes we feel like it's our duty to like fix everyone's problem, and then we also think it's us who caused the problem. Yeah. So it's just like this cycle. I think also, like, on top of that, what would really upset me growing up is that like I was the source, like what you were saying, you're the source of happiness, and then you're also the source of solution. Like source fixing everyone. Yeah. SOS. Yeah, SOS. So I was kind of looked at for everyone's problem and everyone's needs, and, you know, being the therapist for this person, being the translator, and then also being the middleman, and then also putting my life aside to do this. And if there's fighting, I'm expected to still be fine, have good grades, and do this and that, even though this fighting is like making me anxious or this and that, right? But then also, if something went wrong and it was not related to me at all, I would be the one to be blamed for it,
the one
right?
to blame.
Like if someone in my family did something, or I don't know, a car crash happened or something, it would be like, oh, it's because you were late for school that day, you know? And then I'd have to carry the weight and the tension of that unrelated problem on my shoulder, and then I feel shitty about it because I'm like, dang, maybe I did cause it, and then that leads to like insecurity or like low self-esteem, or you understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
Sorry.
Just, you know, I think it weighs a little bit heavier as like the daughter of the family, because women are ingrained to just like be the source of like blame for everything. So it's like you can try your best to like, you know, what was the Spider-Man? I forgot, but like where Spider-Man is like holding onto the thread of like the bridge falling.
Yeah.
Like the web of the bridge falling, but then he's also holding onto the girl that's like falling into the water.
Facts.
That's me. Because I'm like trying to keep together everything intact.
That's me.
But then it's like I'm blamed when like the bridge falls. But it's like I was the one that was trying to keep it from falling in the first place for a problem that I didn't even cause. You like that? That was a good analogy. No, I can't lie.
That's kind of crazy.
No, I said that on the spot, but now that I'm thinking about it,
it's kind of crazy.
Like I kind of popped off with that.
Like
we gotta put a visual for that image. You know? Yeah.
Damn. I didn't
Thoughts?
know where to go. I don't know where to go from there.
No, you don't have any follow up? It was that good?
That was good.
When did you start work again when you were younger?
Nah, I've been through this. I was working on my dad's gas station.
Oh yeah, when you were like 3, like too early.
I was working at 11.
But that was just for like fun.
Yeah, for fun, but I clocking in at least like 20-25 hours a week.
Aww.
Like it was fun, yeah, but I was putting work.
Did you have a stool?
I put in hours. Yeah, I had a stool.
You had a stool to stand on?
Yeah, I had a stool and everything.
Whenever I see pictures of him when he was little, he had like no teeth. He just had like, you know.
Nah, you know,
I
like.
always get so sad.
You know what I think about a lot?
What?
I feel like the city of Orlando, I deserve some more credit in the city of Orlando. You know why? Because at the gas station I used to work at, people used to come in all the time asking for single cigarettes, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of buying a whole box,
right,
they want a single cigarette.
Right.
But it was illegal to sell single cigarettes. And, like, my uncle told me, like, yo, like we can't do that. And I just tell him, like, yo, like, let's do it.
Yeah. Weren't you 7? How did you already have that mindset?
I was 11. Because, like, people come in and I'll be like, yo, let's just sell them, bro. 50 cents. No one's going to tell.
Right.
So then we started selling them.
Not we, you.
No, I convinced everyone to gas, like, yo, let's start doing this. And then every single gas station on that road started doing it.
So you guys were all in like an illegal scam.
And now you go to any gas station, I'm sure they're doing it. So I think I started a worldwide
Do they
trend.
do that?
On the low, like to like the right people, you know?
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? You don't understand.
All right.
What did you understand?
All right.
Something else that you know, that I want to bring up is some that I still struggle with is sleep. It's sleep. I feel like being parentified and giving so many responsibilities, it disrupts your restoration period, because it's like any downtime you're given,
you're like guilty.
You're just automatically thinking about like what can you do? What can you do? What is there to do? There's never like a moment in your brain where like at this moment it's okay to do nothing. You know, think about like now we've gotten a lot better.
We've gotten a lot better
at doing nothing. But back then, any point in time you had some downtime, you're automatically thinking, your mind is automatically going, what else can you do? What else can you do?
Yeah.
Like, I've said this so many times. When I started working like my first corporate job, so many of my coworkers all they would talk about is TV shows, sports, movies. And I would tell them like, and now looking back at it, I feel bad like the way I used to say it, but I used to always be like, yo, like, why y'all watch so much TV, bro? Y'all could be doing so much else. Go get some money. Like, I would tell them like, yo, there's so much you could be doing. And they would try to tell me like, yo, like, it's just, sometimes we just want to chill out.
Yeah.
And I would never understand that.
No, remember when we made a whole episode on how we hate vacations?
Yeah.
Like, that was such a different era.
Like, we have like in real time, like, you can look back at us saying like, how dare you relax?
Yeah, no, because that's we just had it so ingrained in us where like it's uncomfortable for us to relax because we just feel guilty. And like with that free time, why do you even have free time? You should be like filling it up with something. But now I get happy when I see him like on the couch and he's watching like a show all snuggled up, because I'm like, damn, you're actually so much better on this journey of resting. Yeah. You know?
And like one area where like it physically affected me was like sleep. I feel like whenever I got to bed, I'm so much better at this now. But like, I don't think you understand, like when I was 21, it would take me at least an hour to an hour and a half every single night to fall asleep. Yeah. Because right when like it's time to like quote unquote go to sleep, I'm automatically thinking like, what can I do? What can I do? There's so much I could do. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do. And it would take me at least 60 minutes every night to fall asleep. Yeah. Now, I fall asleep mid-sentence now. Yeah. Just cause. But I feel like growing up, like you're just
now you'll fall asleep mid-relaxing.
You're just like you're so conditioned to just like always be thinking about like what more you can do to be a productive human and be a productive like quality part of your family, that like you're just
I remember when like
I don't know.
I remember growing up when I would be doing work, I knew from like the sound of the footsteps who was coming into the room. Mm-hmm. And to make it seem like I was doing more work than I was, I would like pretend to be like typing away.
Yeah, open up every textbook.
Just open up everything. And it's just like you get so ingrained with like fearing who's coming or like what their reaction is going to be or whatever it is, where you have to constantly like walk around eggshells. Mm-hmm. And you just, I don't know, you just like have this facade to just appease everyone.
And a lot of the time, like for me, like from their footsteps, you can already know what type of mood they're in, you know, and now you're just like, you're like bracing yourself for like when they open the door.
It's so sad. Like we're laughing about it, but it's so sad.
You like, man, you would literally brace
and
myself.
And it ruins your whole day.
Okay, we'll get through this.
Like I remember when I was talking to my therapist like 2 years ago, and she said something like, oh, you don't have to let someone else's like emotion control the mindset of the whole day, right? Which is true to some extent. Like obviously if some little inconvenient thing happens, don't let it ruin like the rest of the 12 hours of the day and like this day, no point in trying today, you know. Yeah. But like also if you have like a very explosive or like very chaotic family members, sometimes it's very hard to like balance your internal feelings, your organs, like your, you know, it's hard to just not throw away
to I get what you're saying, like to live the day like on like a steady kind of path, like it's just not possible, because like your day is so volatile to like the people that are around you.
Because in my head I'm like, dang, like, you know, my mom is in a bad mood and like she's going through this. I understand as an empath, I understand what she's going through and like why she's reacting the way that I am, but now her reaction is bothering me and it's making me ruin my whole day, and now I'm gonna you know it's just like so many different layers to it, and it's hard to like put just like a one-liner on how you're feeling, because there's just, you know, there's like feelings of anxiety within, and feelings of sadness because like, damn, like she shouldn't have to go through that, and then feelings of anxiety for me, it's like, how am I gonna go on with my day with all the other things that I have on my plate? And then there's a feeling of like, you know, uncertainty and confusion because like, damn, should I even be this like open and empathetic and understanding? Yeah. And there's just like so much to it, right? Yeah. I feel like are we talking about like symptoms like in adult years now?
We sure can.
Oh, are we doing that right now, or were we already doing that?
No, yeah, let's get into it.
Oh, okay. No, I just wasn't sure, you know. Sometimes we get so into it.
Podcast.
Yeah, I guess it's our podcast.
Go ahead. Where you want to go?
I think one thing that I have now, I have high functioning anxiety. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't know either. 2 years, and I suddenly remembered out of nowhere too. I forgot. Wow, the neck. Sorry. Why did you make that sound to your neck?
It's a lot of cracking.
Okay. Go ahead. So high functioning anxiety is like when you thrive off of a lot of things on your plate, but then you get anxious off of it. Don't quote me on that, because that is not the definition for it. But kind of like, you know, what I was told. So I get even if I don't live at home, I still get very anxious when I have a lot of things on my plate. And this doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, like oldest daughter or oldest sister responsibilities, just like in general, like life, like when I have any work things to do or I have a lot of, just things that I have to do. But then what makes me more anxious is when other people's feelings are also put onto me, and then the eldest daughter responsibility. So I feel like I get more like the things that I can control is like my own work day, and the things that I get done for the day for myself, right? But when there's other feelings attached to it, or I have to plan a vacation for the family, or if it's planning a birthday gift for a parent, or me having to be the mediator again as like the oldest daughter and like handle this family situation and talk to this person for this other person, I feel like I get more anxious about things like that. And that is something that is obviously in my control, but also not, because it still brings me back to like when I was a kid. And I think those feelings give me extra anxiety. You understand?
I understand.
Too much, huh?
Yeah, like these are a lot of things where like I don't know what else to say other than like yeah.
No, honestly, before we started recording this, I was like, damn, I've never cried in an episode. What if this is the one?
Nah, we're not doing all that.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
You're right though. It's like,
why do you relate so hard? Like, what's the relation?
Nah, yeah, it's just, the boy had to grow up quick.
Yeah.
That's all. You had to grow up quick as well.
Yeah.
There was a lot put on your shoulders, and, like you said, it's like we must be graceful with our parents, because they're not doing these things purposely.
Yeah.
And that's very important to remind us.
Some are, but not ours.
Some are.
Yeah.
But a lot of time, for a lot of us, they are not doing this purposefully. They're doing this, and like, we're not parents, so like we don't even understand like the stressors of being a parent, of like, the past generation, just like how much is put on their shoulders as well, how many things are expected of them as well, because we have the leisure of like at least like choice, like
freedom
they
of
don't
choice.
have freedom of choice.
What's interesting? A lot of people are like, oh, if you're the oldest daughter, you usually date or you get married to someone that's like a younger brother for straight relationships, because it evens it out. And I'm like, yeah, confused. That's true.
Tot confused.
I'm the oldest daughter.
Yep.
You're supposed to date or get married to someone who's a younger brother, so you're the younger brother. But
I don't understand.
But I feel like that balance only works because you have an idea on the struggles, because you went through something similar. Like if you were just like a nonchalant old younger brother who's a piece of shit,
yeah,
we wouldn't work. You understand?
I am.
But we have like this, I don't know, let me know if you guys have that, because
what we have,
I mean, not what we have, but I'm saying like if you guys understand that, or if you've heard it before,
I haven't heard
where
that.
the oldest daughter has to be with a younger brother.
I haven't heard that. That's interesting.
But then I've also heard the oldest daughter has to be with the oldest son.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What do you deal with now as an adult, like beyond anxiety and unrelenting pain?
I think one thing that I still struggle with is the relationship aspect of it. Not like romantic relationships, just like relationships with people. It's always been hard for me to have friends. On like, and it's not a black and white issue. It's like, it's not like, oh, I'm hard. It's hard for me to open up, or it's hard for me to reach out to people. It's like everything in like the ecosystem of having friends, everything is hard for me. Like both on like one end and the other. Like I in friendships, like I over deliver and I under deliver. I expect a lot from people, and I also don't expect them to do anything for me. And like I never know like what the balance is for like so many things. And it's like very, very few friendships, like my best friend Soham, that like I can treat how like in a way that's so natural to me and so natural to like my fluctuations. I'm so blessed to have someone that like understands the fluctuations of like, sometimes I want to spend 12 hours with you,
right?
Sometimes I don't care to talk to you for a month.
I know there's weeks for you where you just don't even talk to him.
Right? But it's like when I go back to Orlando, shout out my boy, I literally hang out with him the entire time I'm in Florida. You know? So it's like I think a lot of it stems from, you know, when I was younger, I didn't allow myself to build strong friendships. The only time I had strong friendships when I was blessed to have someone in my life who gave me their time when they didn't have to, but they did. And it's also like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, I just have so much work to do trying to figure out what version of myself I want to have in like a friendship. And like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. But on the other end, I have been working on a lot that I used to struggle with, like, you know, the rest and relaxation, like feeling. I think what has helped me process a lot of emotional guilt is, one, having distance, and two, in that distance, connecting a lot of dots in my head, and like doing the emotional work of understanding, like, oh, my mother did this because this happened then, and that caused this, and this is, and making it all make like physical sense in my head has helped me a lot with like the emotional guilt that you carry with, you know, like, I'm sure you felt this too when you move, and like we still do, like moving out, spending your money on things that aren't related to your parents, spending your time on things that aren't related to your parents. What's helped me process a lot of that guilt is just like having the distance and answering a lot of like questions that I've dreamt of like answering the questions. But I have a question. Too. Okay.
When you do these like mental connections in your head to be empathetic and understand where someone is coming from and like why they did the thing that they did, how does that help you move on and just like be a, like, not let that affect you as much?
Because I think,
like, how do you forgive?
I think when I said the connecting to the dots, yeah, in regards to like other people, but also in regards to like myself. So like, for example, I know that in certain situations I get really like abrupt, and like when certain situations or certain topics come up, I can get very upset or I can get very sensitive. And for a long time, I didn't know why. I didn't know why. Like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But like, say, I can't think of something specific. But what I say about like connecting the dots is like, I feel like when you give yourself an answer to a question that you always had, it just makes it so much easier to, it makes it possible to process it. Yeah. That's why we love therapy so much.
It helps you understand.
You know, therapy just offers you like bridges. You know, it's like there's a mountain here, there's a mountain there. It's like and you're just so conflicted about like why that's there, why that exists, why is there this element of me that has just like always been prevalent. So many people that struggle with anger, a lot of time they like, yeah, like, sure, they know where the anger comes from, but they don't understand like the deep rooted like trauma that it's actually like arised from. And I think in like this last year of having some distance away from home, I've been able to process like, oh, like I react like this because of like, and there's a whole backstory. And I feel like, and finally like making it like click in my head, like you're like, okay, like now I have an answer, now I can move on. You know, it's like, you know, a lot of time when you break up with someone, all you want is closure. You know, this is kind of like closure for a lot of issues. Yeah. And I feel like so many issues that I've had, like with myself, like I just need that closure to just like move on from it. Yeah. You know, so that is my answer to your question.
That was a good answer.
Tight shit.
I feel like also there are so many like post effects of parentification. Like we can't even get through all of them just because there are so many. And also like these are some of the ones that I've dealt with or like seen in other friendships and things like that. Another one is just like always wanting external validation. Yeah, that's one. You know, because like you grew up feeling like you had to fix every problem and you had to be like the stellar student, stellar daughter, stellar child, whatever. Like the over delivery, yeah. So as you get older, you're still, you know, familiar with that idea of just like getting compliments from other people or getting some sort of feedback from other people and letting that like dictate how you're going to be for the rest of the day or how you are performing as a person or your value, whatever. And I think it's hard to get out of that because you're like, how do I become my own self? And how do I do things for myself? You know, like, who am I? I think what a journey that I had to go on for a couple of years, especially after moving out, is like, who am I outside of just being the oldest daughter? Like, especially when you get yourself out of that physical environment of always spreading yourself thin for other people, you come to this, and I think you also went through it too. You come to this point where you're kind of faced with your own thoughts and your own self, where you're like, damn, I don't really have any other hobbies or passions or interests outside of all of the necessary things that I was doing as the oldest daughter. And then you fall into this like existential crisis where you're like, oh my God, I'm no one. It's kind of sad because it's like, oh my God, I have nothing to give besides me giving to other people as like a oldest, you know, person, a parentified daughter. And what do you do in that, you know? So sometimes you either just go back to giving yourself to other people again and being that daughter or sister or family member, or you go through that whole hard process of like trying to figure out who you are and working yourself up to be valuable to like your own self, you know? But it's a journey. It's a hard journey, you know? I can't lie about that one.
This is your episode.
This is my episode. I can't. I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to yap about this. Your episode, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I think along those lines, you know, something I think about a lot is just how, like, you know, growing up as brown people, being you or like being different is seen as weird. Like being you is like, it shouldn't be allowed. Like, because there's like whether it's like your parents or like mostly your parents, like whenever you try to express any sort of individuality or creativity, they're telling you that you're going the wrong way. You know, they're telling you that like that isn't what we do. That is not the path that you are supposed to follow. You are supposed to stay on this very strict path. And I think as you grow older and once you hit that point of like, I don't know who I am, because you just weren't allowed the space to be an individual. You weren't allowed the space to be you. You know, it's seen as so weird to be you. It's seen as so weird to be different. But it's like, but you see like the people that like come out of like their early mid-20s that gave themselves like their late teen years to like express themselves, find themselves. You find them the happiest. You find those people are like the happiest as like they come into like the later years in their life.
Because they're able to like experiment.
Because they know who they are.
Yeah.
How important is it to know who you are? And how rare is it to find like a brown person that was allowed the space to like be who they are?
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
And
so no, that's it.
No, were you about to say something?
No, that's it.
I think on top of that, like again, there are so many different things to this. We're just talking about a few. You aren't able to find a balance between not being able to be independent, like not knowing how to spend time alone, or being too hyper independent. You know, because like if you were brought up in a household where everything was on your plate and you were taught to do everything for everyone else, sometimes your feeling of self-worth is like around how other people view you and like being around like a family, even if it wasn't the best circumstance. So then you grow up and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to be alone and in my own thoughts and do things for myself. Whereas there's also the other end of the stick, which I kind of dealt with, but I actually kind of dealt with both, where you're too independent because you're like, damn, I did all these things for other people. Now I'm going to make sure I do all these things for myself, and I'm going to make sure I do it well, you know, and I'm going to prove to myself that I can do it. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you
I
know,
like that.
I solo travel, live alone, this and that, just to like make sure that I don't need anyone else and that I am going to do this for and I enjoyed it. I love doing it, you know? So there's just like sometimes no in between. And then also the other end of the stick. This is completely different.
How many ends is
this is a different stick now.
5-way stick.
A different stick now, okay?
Okay.
A physical symptom or after effect of this is like literal chronic illness. Right? Like I have a close friend who is dealing with the aftermath of just having so much stress of being the parentified figure, right?
Okay.
And that has a lot of effects on your body. You know, obviously there's like the internal stress and the mental health stressors. But then when you are, like, for example, not going to the bathroom as much because you're trying to do this one thing for your family, or when you have school and work and other stressors on top of your family structure that is bringing you stress, that's going to put a very big impact on your body and, like, how you eat or how your body is reacting to things, right? So that also has a lot of physical like illness or pain that it can give you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, obviously we're not saying, like, I don't even know what we're saying.
Okay.
Like, we're not trying to give you a solution, right? Because
we're not.
We don't
Trust me.
We don't just like give us solutions at the end of the day, right? But this is just the reality of what it's like to be parentified. And I guess a lot of people think that it's not that big of a deal, or they don't understand that it's actually happening because they're so ingrained with it. This is your reminder to try to take care of yourself in other ways, you know?
Yeah. No, you got it. You know, honestly, I think I'm a little pooped.
You're a little pooped?
I'm a little pooped. I think this was a lot.
Yeah.
I think this was a lot.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to, you know.
What? Just rest? It's so funny because we wanted to record the second part of the episode today too. Like, yeah, that's not happening. See, these episodes are so, like, healing and therapeutic for both us and, like, also you guys. I hope. It's like maybe. The opposite, imagine.
Please.
Like, it's very therapeutic and healing, but then also sometimes the subject matters are so heavy where we're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
how are we talking about this for this long? Oh yeah, we did post a story. We did. I literally forgot about that.
We did get some responses.
If you guys don't know, we post on our Instagram story the topic of the week. We ask you guys a question sometimes, and we ask for your feedback or your personal experiences. So this time around, we asked you, have you guys ever gotten parentified? How do you deal with it? How are you feeling now? Right? So here are some responses. If you guys don't know, our Instagram is at difficultish. And our TikTok is at difficultish podcast.
Yeah.
So make sure to follow us on that.
Most of them are in relationship to siblings. I'll read one.
Yeah.
I am the eldest daughter, and since I was a kid, I became a third parent to my parents and siblings. Now that we are older, my siblings are able to divide tasks and be responsible without having to overly depend on others. But for my parents, they still depend on me. It's hard, but we move.
Yeah.
So as we get older, something to shine light on is the fact that, you know, hopefully the sibling relationships strengthen and you are more easily able to deviate tasks and responsibilities. I'm sure, you know, as your brother is getting older, it's becoming easier to do that. As me and my sister have gotten older, it's become easier to do that, and it takes off a lot of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, I think it's hard, especially as, like, the oldest daughter, when you are growing up and you have, like, brothers, or even if you have sisters but, you know, they're not the oldest. Sometimes there's kind of like a rivalry in the family because sometimes your parents make it seem like it's a competition, and, like, you're doing, and there's like a tension, right? You're, at the end of the day, you're doing a lot more than the other siblings, so it's kind of like a unspoken hatred or, like, unspoken tension, and it's hard to get over that sometimes because you're like, oh damn, like, I'm the kid but I'm doing all these things, whereas my siblings have it a lot easier. Like, why don't they get it, right? And it kind of creates, like, this gap in between your siblings sometimes. And hopefully as you get older, there's some sort of, like, understanding and a bridge to that gap, and some sort of, like, reconciliation. What's the word? What's the word? No, say
reconciliation.
Yeah, see?
You got that.
Yeah. And then it's not like
last
week
obtuse.
Did I say obtuse?
You said obtuse last weekend.
All right. So when you get older, it's not like you against them. It's more like you guys together against the problem.
Tag team.
Yeah.
We got a tag team name?
No.
Difficultish. Only child, but I always get brought into fights as the mediator. Boundaries are key. But that being said, Bangladeshi parents feel betrayed when you ask for boundaries.
You have thoughts on that?
Nah, because, you know, boundaries not a thing in our culture.
I don't think I've ever said the word boundary to my parents.
Think about it. How many siblings your mother got? A lot.
Yeah,
you think she had any alone time?
My mother
with that many people in the house?
My mother is a daughter amongst 9.
18. Yeah, they don't know what alone time is. They don't know what boundaries are. It's hard for them to know why we would want it. How dare we?
And then guess what?
How
Us
dare we?
talking about this right now on a public platform. What the hell are you doing? It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
like that's their
yeah.
not my parents, but I'm saying like family's interpretation. It's like, why are you talking about private matters, about mental health? You're sick.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you must be
you don't
mentally
have
sick.
you don't have any problems.
Yeah, you have no problems.
No.
You have a healthy home. You have food on the table.
Yeah.
Why have problems?
No, it's because the uncle
We're spoiled at the end of the day.
that we haven't talked to in 40 years. He's gonna say something.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
What are people gonna say? Exactly.
No.
You got one more or no?
No. That's
Okay.
it. That's it.
Okay, cool.
Listen, y'all.
We've been recording for a while. Okay.
Hope y'all enjoyed. It feels like it's been longer than an hour.
Yeah.
It's been an hour.
But do you feel like a little bit refreshed?
I do. I think,
Do you feel closer?
I think you did really good this episode.
Thanks.
Genuinely.
Thank you.
I think you were very, very prepared this episode. And I think if you have made it this far, I hope you guys really listen to the things that she said, because she did an amazing job explaining a lot of feelings that we feel in this episode.
Buddy.
And, she deserves her praise.
Thank
So
you.
You
so
did very
much.
good.
I appreciate that.
Yes, you're welcome.
Are we gonna do like a Bangla word of the day? Shanti.
What's that?
Shanti means peace. Okay. If you guys don't know,
Need that.
we try to implement like a little Bangla word of the day. So if you're learning, or if you want to learn more about Bengali culture, Bangladeshi culture, hopefully this is a place where you are learning.
Yeah.
On top of just like things that we've gone through.
Yeah.
So our word of the week is called Shanti.
Yeah.
I also have from my newest collection, the Noka collection, a Shanti shirt, and it's the green shirt with the embroidery on it.
Need that.
And I made it the word Shanti because when you think of nature and greenery and water and things like that, you think of peace and
beautiful.
If
you made this far to the episode, please in the comments or on the Friday post on Instagram, put need that. Hashtag need that. Either DAT, THAT, your pick. I personally DAT.
Yeah, I've never seen the DHAT.
Need that.
All right.
Put that in the comments.
Do you have a 10-second piece of advice?
My 10-second piece of advice.
You can't even say it.
She's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I just have to say this out loud. Get a candle warmer.
Oh my God.
Get a candle warmer.
You were the one that was so against it.
Y'all know what a candle warmer is?
You didn't want it.
A candle warmer is like a mini lamp that warms your candle. You might think, okay, whatever. But this is what it does.
You're such a liar.
It melts the wax, but it retains the wax. Okay. So it's think of it as like making your candle an infinite candle. That's what it is. Very cool. I hated on it in the beginning. I'll be honest. It's honesty. I hated on it in the beginning. I didn't get it.
Okay.
Damn,
my
that shit been on the whole
10-second
time.
Yeah. My 10-second piece of advice is if you are considering trying to buy like an aesthetic piece of art for your home, but it's a little bit too expensive out of your budget, whatever it is, try to make it yourself.
Yeah, make that.
Don't like copy it exactly. That's called plagiarism, my friends. But try to like, put that aesthetic and that feeling into your own art, and it makes it more personal. For your home.
It does.
We've been
that's a good one.
Trying to do that.
That's a good one. All right. Appreciate that, shorty.
Thank you so much for watching or listening
so
to this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and watched or listened this far. We put our heart and soul into this episode with our own personal feelings, and we hope you've been liking the new season. This is season 4, so we've been doing it for a while. If you guys did like it, make sure to like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure to leave a review on Spotify or wherever else you listen, because it helps again so much with how the episode does, how future episodes do, what guests we get on, because it makes us seem more reliable and like we actually have our shit together, right? But we love you guys so much, and we'll see you next week.
Allah
Hafiz.